with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, Wednesday morning, live from the Saratoga backstretch. The sun is fighting. It goes in, it goes out, but I think it's going to be a great day of racing. So if you're planning, head on up without any concern. Happy to be joined now by Tom Gallo of Parting Glass Racing. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Seth.
First off, we have to thank you for being a sponsor of the program, and we appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And I see you must be Italian, Seth, because of the hand gestures going in, going out.
I'm not, but I like the Italian food, and it's Italian-American Day. I said it earlier over at the International Heritage. Going out back and checking out the food. No question about it.
I'll be right behind you.
And speaking of food, being a Parting Glass Racing, great food out at the Parting Glass.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic.
And I will note that you're down there for your monthly meetings. And is there a monthly meeting coming up?
There will be. We usually do it the Thursday. It can't be Thursday anymore because they do the radio show there. It'll probably be like the Wednesday before Travers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because the public's invited as well, and they can get introduced to the partnership that way.
Absolutely. Well, we do it actually more handicapping, book signings, informational, educational stuff. I really don't use the meetings to, it's great to attract new people to the meetings, but we try and make it a little bit more of a, fully dimensional type meeting and really something that's entertaining and informative for people that are racing and people that want to know more about racing and horses and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great. I've been to a few of them. Certainly
it's
go
a lot
out
of
and grab
fun,
some dinner.
Yeah, well, you've been one of our guests.
It's informational. It's for the partners, but the public's invited as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for everybody. It's for everybody.
And speaking of introducing, just before we get into some specifics, give us a little overview of Parting Glass Racing.
Well, we've been in business now since 2001, and we've been doing pretty well. Right now, I think someone told me last night, I was out with a couple people, and they said, wow, you got great stats. You're like 85% in the money, 55% winning. So we built a nice organization. We try and run the horses where they can win. We have some really great trainers in Bruce Levine, Tom Bush, Bill Mott, and then Al Stoll's our trainer down in Louisiana. And we're just having a lot of fun, having a great time.
Yeah, I know some of the partners, and that's what it's all about, these partnerships. You don't necessarily get in it to get rich. You have to be realistic, but everybody has a ball, particularly up here at Saratoga.
Oh, absolutely. This is the place to be, and we feel very fortunate because we're based here. We have an office down there. I'm here every single morning showing people around, showing them the backstretch, the horses, and if they're interested, getting them involved. Now's the time. If you want to get involved, now's the time, because we'll be running some 2-year-olds here hopefully at the end of the meet, so people can get in and bang and run a horse at the best racetrack in the world. So now is definitely the time.
So you sign up, you could be in the winner's circle before the end of the meet?
Well, you could be. You definitely get to the paddock. Get to the paddock, which is a big honor and a big thrill to see your horse. I always say to people, you're always going to get to the paddock, so bring your friends, bring your family, dress properly. By the way, if you wear shorts, they're not going to let you in the paddock, so don't wear shorts. But bring everybody, and then hopefully, if you get lucky, bang, we're in the winner's circle like we were this past Saturday.
And we're going to touch on that in just a minute. Before I do that, though, I just wanted to get, I've never asked you this before, your racing background. How'd you get involved in the game?
It's a long story. Actually, my wife got me involved in this. We were living in Manhattan many, many years ago, and all of a sudden, my son, who's now 38, and runs one of the top bars down in Manhattan right now, called Grand Banks. That's a little push for my son. Anyway, he was born. It was almost 39 years ago, and all of a sudden, this romantic relationship that we had down in the city, 2 young people in the city, going here and going there, all of a sudden it became too smelly, too loud. We can't live here with our baby. So we ended up leaving the city. I ended up on one of the top breeding farms in New York at the time, or in the industry at the time, Tilly Foster Farm, back in, it was a long time ago, back in 1976. And from there, I met a wonderful person who became my first mentor in the business, Larry DeLay, who was the assistant manager. And he got me a job at Tilly Foster. And then and I worked under probably one of the greatest teachers, for me at the time, Roberto Lira, who was the manager there. And it was like horsemanship 101, because he explained everything he did. You had to be there, and he explained every single thing he did. Lee Eaton, one of the top sales agents in the industry, was their agent. He used to fly up almost every month to check on the yearlings So I learned from him. And then Larry, 2 years later, Larry got me a job at Spendthrift Farm with John Williams down in Kentucky. So we moved to Kentucky, and then the rest is almost history. But I mean, I spent a lot of time at some of the big farms in Kentucky, the big outfits to learn. Then we moved down to Aiken because I needed more money. By then we had 2 children. My daughter Nadine was born in Lexington, and I got on with Buckland Farm down in Lexington. Aiken. They just pulled into Aiken. I pulled into Aiken. I was fortunate enough to get a job with them, and then made the big circle back up to New York with Buckland Farm.
There you go.
So it was the big circle, but I learned a lot and learned from the best in the business, and I was very fortunate to work with some of these people, and I just found that I loved it, and I just wanted to learn more and more. And in this business, let me tell you something. To this day, I've been now in this 38 years. You learn something new every day. You have to keep an open mind because you learn something new. Horses will just make a liar out of you, or you know what I'm saying? You learn something new every day. But it's been wonderful, and we really enjoy it. And we've had a farm out here for just under 34 years out in Cambridge, and we've raised some good horses. We raised, actually, Commentator was born and raised on our farm. I tell everybody he runs so fast because this is the first face he saw when he was brought into this world. So this face sticks in his memory, and that's why he ran so fast. But we've raised some real nice horses, including this horse that ran on Saturday, Sanctify.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. It's a Parting Glass Racing runner. Bill Mott trains, ran this past weekend, and we're going to look at the stretch run. Sanctify will be the #1 horse under Manny Franco, running for Parting Glass Racing. So you get a win up at Saratoga. This absolutely had to thrill the partners. But also I'm looking in the under the breeder line, Mia Gallo as the breeder. So that's nice as well.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. Mia Gallo and Mary Copley. And I want to apologize to the whole crowd that was standing under the clubhouse watching the big screen TV, because I was screaming and yelling. And when this horse was coming down the stretch right there from the 16th pole, I went absolutely crazy. I went nuts. So apologies, but if you were in the same position, I think you'd be doing exactly the same thing. It was just absolutely... There's nothing like winning a race at Saratoga. And it doesn't, believe me, it doesn't have to be the Travers or the Whitney or any of the... Everybody wants to win the big races, but believe me, if you can get a win at Saratoga, it is just absolutely... It's life-changing. It really is.
As you said, it's just fun to be up here and be in the paddock and have a horse to root for. But when they win like that,
wow!
And when it's a nice horse like this is a horse, 6 career starts now, 2 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds.
Oh, yeah.
You have a nice one on your hands.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's nice. He's nice. He really is. He's consistent. He fights. And the guys down at Ocala Stud, and a shout out to Dave O'Farrell, Mike O'Farrell. When they broke him, they thought that he looked like he was going to be a nice one, and they were absolutely right. And we've actually got his half brother down there who we're syndicating now, who they think really good things about, and he's by More Than Ready. These guys are great. They've been doing it for many years, and they can sort of. They can tell you, and you need to know that as soon as possible,
And the last couple of races on the turf, before that on the dirt, so the possibilities are kind of endless. Potentially, will we see him again?
And he won in the slop.
So as I say, possibilities
and,
absolutely are.
I got to tell you, I never would have thought, this horse was going to be really a turf horse, because his mother has huge, big, what we call like a big turf foot, like a big platter foot. This horse doesn't have those big giant feet on him yet. The first time we put him on the turf, boom, he closes like crazy, and then he wins the other day. So, hat off to Mr. Bill Mott. I mean, try something and it works, and makes
Bill
everybody
Mott, of course,
look like a genius.
the champ at changing services, of course, with Cigar. But with chance we'll see him again before the end of the meet. Something in the book
hopefully,
for him?
I try not to make those decisions. I just sit back and enjoy it, and you hope so. But if everything's right, the right race comes up. I mean, anytime you run a horse at the beginning of the meet, there's always a shot. You may have a shot at the end of the meet, and it's always cool to run twice. But I'm still enjoying and basking in the memory and enjoyment of that first race. So if things come together, hopefully that'll happen. But if not, it's not a big issue because we've got the win.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got that one on your mantelpiece. I don't blame you. I looked at the entries for Parting Glass, went over to Equibase, and interested to note you have one coming up on Saturday at Evangeline Downs. Bluffalatta, I assume is the pronunciation. This is a nice horse for you guys. This is a horse, 18 career starts, 6 wins, 150,000 plus. But it's interesting, and I'm assuming, you mentioned before, Al Stahl trains for you down in Louisiana. It's a Louisiana bred.
Yes.
And so I also looked, you had Zippity Goomba down in Pennsylvania.
Bred,
So it looks like you're taking advantage of these really nice state bred programs around the country. But boy, this one's really nice. One's on Saturday for you guys.
That's part of my business. My business model really focuses on state bred programs because the amount of money. It's simple math, ladies and gentlemen. If you have an open horse, you're going to spend a lot more money. You're going to run against the pool of 21,000. Let's say the pool of horses that you're running against is the foal crop, just for argument's sake. So you're going to run, if you buy an open horse, you're going to run against a pool of 21,000 horses. You buy a New York bred, you're going to run essentially for the same money against the pool. You're going to start out against the pool of 2,100 horses. So I mean, it's just risk aversion. It's risk management. Same with PA breds. Same with Louisiana breds. And I learned about the Louisiana bred program through the executive director of the New York State Breeding Program because he did these. We had one of these meetings, membership meetings, and he did all these charts and fancy PowerPoints. And boom, up comes the richest breeding programs in the United States. Guess who was on top at the time? Louisiana. Yeah. So I said, wow, Louisiana's giving away 60-something million. I got to get some Louisiana breds on top of the fact that who doesn't love New Orleans, I mean, if you can get an excuse to go to New Orleans or go to Philadelphia, it gives you a great, a great entree into a whole other world. But we really enjoy Al and his stable, and we enjoy going to New Orleans. And of course, you only run at New Orleans from Thanksgiving to March, but at the same time, you have good purses around. Not, of course, as good as New York, but still, if you get a good Louisiana bred like you saw, you can make some decent money and have a heck of a lot of fun.
No, they have a fun program down there, and as I say, with Zippity Goomba down
Zippity's doing super. We actually had her full sister, City Broad, who earned us just shy of $300,000, but she was a New York bred. But at the same time, Bruce Levine took advantage. I don't know if you remember at Monmouth, they had that short meet with the giant purses, $85,000. Championship
the $1 million, whatever.
She won 2 of those and placed in 2 of them, right? So she built up some fantastic earnings. And so we bought this filly actually because she was the full sister to City Broad, and that family takes a long time to mature. And this is the thing about horses, don't blame your trainer for not getting these horses to run as 2-year-olds. It's a very small percentage of horses that are going to run as 2-year-olds, but if you can find their niche and find when they're ready, they're probably, and they can run, you're going to have a nice racing career. They're not always going to start out young. They may mature later. This family's a very late maturing family. She's 4 now or 5, and she's just really getting into gear. So, I think just trust your trainer and look back into the bloodlines of the female family of your horses. Give you a little indication about when they're going to run.
Talking about state bred programs, and I said a little earlier, you get into these syndicates, you don't get in necessarily to make a lot of money, but to have a lot of fun. You got to be realistic, but you can get a nice one, and you had a nice New York bred, Wholelottashakin. Most recently won an allowance down at Belmont. But she has run very well in stakes races, over $300,000. Yeah. Give us a little update on Wholelottashakin.
Well, she's actually retired. We had to retire her. She came up with this little thing again. 38 years in the business, and I never heard of villanodule synovitis, but that's what she came up with. A very minor little thing, but God bless Tom Bush. He was able to find it after her win, and thank goodness, because Dr. Selway, one of the experts in this, said, you need to retire this filly. She's going to hurt herself. So we were able to retire her, and she'll be for sale in the November Keeneland sale as a broodmare process, because that's how we end the partnerships. And then that money will flow back to the owners. But at the same time, this filly missed being a graded stakes winner by a
Yeah,
nose.
she had a great career for
by
you.
a nose and a great career.
11 exacta finishes and 21 starts.
Exactly. I mean,
Can't
she
beat
gave 150% every single time.
that. And
she was
one
a
or two of those
fabulous
stakes
horse.
runs were up here, right? Wasn't she behind,
Absolutely.
what, Day at the Spa?
She
was
ran
it?
second to Day at the
Yeah.
Spot twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So very-
But it was a very tough, division. But she always showed up, and we're going to miss her. But she's back on my farm right now, getting ready, let down, getting ready for the sale. She's just a doll and just a wonderful horse to be with. And I told her the other day, I said, listen, I know you're supposed to be at Saratoga, but this year it's not going to happen.
And we'll look for her offspring because that's always fun.
No,
as well.
absolutely, yeah.
Few years
And
down
thank
the road.
goodness, again, Tom Bush, professional. He was able to find something. You gotta bite the bullet and say, he cried. I cried.
Yeah,
we both cried.
Oh, you have one like
You know,
that.
when you have one like that, but you gotta do the right thing.
$300,000 in the bank.
You got to do the right thing, and then she's going to have a lot of value.
Yeah.
So,
Tom, we absolutely appreciate the visit, but before we let you go, partingglassracing.com is
Yes,
the website. If people want to give you a phone call, you want to give out a number?
Yes. My cell, 518-526-3946. You can call me direct or call the office, 587-5550. Very easy to remember, and we're always available. And again, it's not just about selling you horses, it's about introducing you to the wonderful world of horse racing.
Yeah, and again, we appreciate your supporting the programming here on the network during the race meet. The guys put up on the screen there the website,
absolutely,
partingglassracing.com.
yeah. Well, it's a
You
pleasure.
can find
It's
all
a
the
pleasure.
info.
You guys are great.
And we're certainly going to be watching for you. As I say, folks can call you, but just go around the racetrack. You'll see Tom.
Yeah, I'm here every morning.
You can catch him out here as well.
Yes.
Tom, again, thanks for the visit.
You're welcome. Thank
All right, we'll take our next break. Jimmy Jerkins is up next after a very, very big weekend. VE Day, Wicked Strong. We'll talk all of that and more right after this.